This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And it's first off, really short intro, short one, because there's not another name in there, and you might be thinking, Ricky, you're on the wrong side of the table.
Or is he?
Where's Sean? Or you're thinking, Sean, where's Ricky because you gained a ton of weight. Did you eat him?
Or is this the fast break? Or is this another show?
Or is this another show? You are confused right now. Let me reel you in. Let me make you less confused. I was trying to think of what word I wanted to do. Clarify. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Sean's out of town. Sean's on a little business trip. He's in Iowa.
Yep.
And we're doing the fast break this week. So, I mean, that's pretty bare bones what it is. Sean's out of town. We're covering for it. We got some great topics, some viewer-requested topics here.
Yeah, almost across the board.
Well, almost. We're talking the Bulls draft, which prospect best fits them. We're going to talk about a little LeBron to L.A. because you can never get too much LeBron talk when you're doing an NBA podcast. And then we're going to look at another viewer-requested topic of, we did best fits for Marvin Bagley last week. Someone, I believe, on that video said, hey, could you do one for MPJ? We're going to do one for Michael Porter Jr.
It's going to be hard
today.
to find a team that wants to take him.
And we're gonna mix in some wet boys in the podcast. But before we get into some Bulls, short little housekeeping. You want to help support us? Check out patreon.com. You want to be on the podcast? Check out patreon.com/MostValPodcast. Link down below in the description. You want to get an MVP t-shirt? That store link is also down below in the description. MostValuablePodcast.com. That's where you get everything for MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, if you're on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give the Fast Break and all the MVP podcasts a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to us. But Dave, before we get into Bulls draft, which you guys talked about this a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
This was like early season. Someone recently, like a week or two ago, was like, hey, could you guys revisit that topic? So we'll look at Bulls draft, but we got to get there first. We got to get to the draft first. And setting the table, the Bulls in the league are kind of at some odds right now because apparently the league has reviewed the Bulls lineup, and this is all because of the tanking that's going on.
Why is this a thing?
Because tanking's a thing. But no, we're not going to look at the, like you said before, we're not going to look at the Grizzlies, right?
No.
Marcus All, come here. You got your knees dinged up. You can't play for more than 25.
Better sit down. We don't want to risk, anything. 25 minutes a night, you're good.
But what John Paxson had to say about the situation, he says, after the All-Star break, we had communication with the league office about Robin and Justin's roles. After healthy dialogue, the league determined that their situations fall into the players' rest policy. We respect the communication and cooperative dialogue with the league and will adhere to their recommendations moving forward. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And this is the first thing I thought of. Maybe this is kind of a brash way to say it. As the NBA as a whole, this doesn't look good if you have to step in and set lineups.
No.
Or step in and say, hey, how about Adam Silver drew this one up. How about you go ahead and draw this one up?
I mean, what right do they have to do this? Is
they
kind
have
of my
no
thing.
right.
And why would the Bulls as an organization cooperate with them? I mean, we went from post All-Star break where we're like, look, we're gonna look at these guys.
We could contend.
No.
Early on in the season, there was a gap. Like when Nico came back before we traded him, it was
the
like
1-2 punch. The 1-2 punch brought a lot of
literally
strength
the
back.
1-2 punch.
But no, it was post All-Star break, and we're like, look, we're going to go take a look at these guys who have potential to be on a roster long term. Let's go take a look at Campaign. Let's take a look at David Nwaba. Let's see what these younger players, even you want to go really far in your depth and
gotta get play time.
Yeah, do you want to keep them for next year? Do you want to give them contracts? Who knows? Like Noah Vonleh, we picked him up and it's like, how much playing time? Let's find out.
Because we're not talking about practice, Dave.
We are not.
We're not talking about practice.
And I'm sorry, Holiday, cool. You were a second rounder. Yes, you are a good volume shooter. But you are also not a massive deal to us. Robin Lopez, I get it. He's been an energy guy for us. He's been our best player for the majority of the year. No doubt about that. He is the most consistent player on that Bulls team. But it's not their right to tell us who we have to start, who we have to give playing time to. I'm just so confused by the fact that we're actually complying with this request.
I don't see it as complying because at the end, the John Paxson thing of, maybe this is me reading into the quote, but when he goes, yeah, it was good dialogue and, we're happy that it was good dialogue. we'll take your recommendations into like we'll take them into heart, which is basically like we've heard you. Or I want it to be, maybe this is the Bulls fan in me, I want it to be like, thank you for your advice. I'm going to go another way.
But they're not. That's the thing. They started Holiday already one game, and now tonight they're starting Holiday and Robin Lopez.
Which could hurt the Bulls. Could hurt the Bulls tank because
the Knicks
are 6 games out of the first. I'm looking at Tankathon right now. Knicks are 6 games out of the first round pick, our first overall pick. We're 4.5 out of that first overall pick. Bulls are 8th as we're recording this podcast right now. Let me ask you, meat and potatoes of this, if you had to pick, who is the prospect that best fits the Bulls? Or who's one of them that best fits the Bulls that you like?
It depends what you're looking for. I mean, if you believe in the future core of having Lowry at either the 4 or the 5, regardless, and then going with your 1-2 of Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine, then the obvious answer is we need a 3, and I totally agree with that. And depending on how far we fall. Now I'm terrified because I was at first thinking like, oh, we could get like 1 through 5. We tank real well. Now I'm like, we're falling back. And you know what? Like the ideal guy for us might turn into like a Mikal Bridges. He is a 3-and-D player through and through. I like him. I like his ability to keep the floor spacing open. This is a team that has already a couple of guys who are excellent at slashing to the hoop. I just think that he is the ideal fit for what we want to do with this team and for Hoyball in general. He is a great plug-and-play player.
No, and he is the first one I was thinking of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, guy I'm going to save for later. We're talking about him later.
I was
going to
say, yeah.
He's the ultimate fit. Like MPJ, put him on this team.
That's what I said. Like it's hard to find a team that wouldn't want MPJ.
But I mean, the Bulls that's the one. The 3's the big spot that we need. Like I look at Tankathon right now at their mock draft, and I see Wendell Carter Jr. at 8, and I go no. Like I would take Miles Bridges before Wendell Carter. I would take Mikal Bridges before Wendell Carter. Hell, I would even take Kevin Knox before Wendell Carter.
Kevin Knox has a lot of upside.
You want to know the common thread between all 3 of those players, though? They played the 3 or can play the 3 for the Bulls. The thing that I think is interesting, though, is now we have that second pick. So if we're just talking the 8th pick, which player fits for the Bulls, it all depends on what you want to do because the 3, that's a position I think we need to go and get. However, I'm going to throw a situation out at you. What if there's a situation where a Mo Bamba falls, a Marvin Bagley falls? What if a guy that you like, Triple J, what if he's sitting there? Just saying.
I would say if he fell, I would.
What if any of those 3 guys are sitting there at 8 and the Bulls say, you know what? Let's take a big replacement for Rolo, basically, with our 8th pick. Then later on, right now it's the 25th pick because AD doesn't like Chicago, apparently.
Right.
And what if they take a guy that could be in that range, Kyrie Thomas, who then he could kind of be that guy that plays the 3. He's more of like him and Mikal Bridges. I want to say I'm not comparing them just to set that straight, but they can serve a similar role of being a guy who it's like I can be your Mikal is the 3-and-D. Kyrie Thomas could become that 3-and-D type player that you'd want at the 3, kind of like a Klay Thompson.
Yeah,
role.
The other problem is he's a little undersized. I think he's about 6'3", 6'4"-ish.
6'3", 200.
Yeah, so I mean that'd be the concern. I could see like LaVine kind of sliding over, and we'll just go with a different lineup.
Yeah.
But I think if there is a big there like Triple J, like a guy, if you're in love with a guy, go for it because we can have that rotation of Markkanen, Triple J, and Bobby. And I'm cool with that.
If we got Triple J and
Rotate
Kyrie
that
Thomas, how happy would you be?
I'd be pretty happy.
Just for the Triple J.
Like I'm not as high on Kyrie Thomas as you, but I would be okay with it. I just Triple J. If you land him, if we're picking 8, 9, and he falls somehow, somebody decides that like no, there's something wrong with this guy. I don't care I will take him. I will take him.
Triple J is what you're saying?
Yeah. Like if there's those like rumors around like, oh yeah, Triple J totally does coke in the locker room. Like I don't care. I'm taking him.
Dave's be like, whatever,
it's like
screw it. I'm going for him.
It's like the Dan Marino rumors. Like all of a sudden you start to hear some stuff creep up. I would still take him.
Well,
100%.
And here's the thing I want to ask about the Bulls, and this is kind of what I was going with, is at 8, because of where we are, it's going to be tricky because we're speculating where guys could be.
Right.
Because let's be honest, the guys that are on the board, I'm just going to use Tankathons as a reference. Fair. The guys that are on the board for the Bulls at 8.
Yeah.
Wendell Carter, Mikal Bridges, Miles Bridges, Kevin Knox. Those are the top ones.
Yeah.
The guys who would be on the board at 25, you got Bates Diop, Jacob Evans, Trent Jr., Kyrie Thomas, and then Trayvon Duval. For the Bulls, you got to have a plan coming in. Congratulations, you're now Garpax.
Yep. Oh, God.
What's your plan coming in? To look at a big at 8 first? Like, look for that big, like, we're going to get our big at 8, then go with our 3? Or say, screw it. I like the guys at 3 that could be there at 8. We're going to take our 3, our small forward, at 8, and then look for a big at 25. Or try to trade up that 25 to get a big.
Yeah, I think I'm so much happier taking 2 first-round picks. I would not try to trade up and sacrifice future right now because I'm not sure where our future really lies. Like this is a team that could go from the bottom to playoff contention next year with one addition and some free agency magic. Like that's not out of the line. So if we're looking at this lineup, like you said, assuming this is Tankathon, I'm totally fine going with my 3 at 8. I think that if you land a Mikal, if you land a Miles or Kevin Knox, like all 3 of those guys all have upside. I think each one does something a little different. Like Miles, we talked Mikal, 3 and D. He's the dream for Hoy ball. Miles is more physical, a little bit more built up, good going to the hole, solid defense.
The thing that's a question though with Miles is could be seen as that tweener to where it's like, well, at the next level, are you a power forward or are you a 3? Are you a 4? Are you a 3? What are you going to be?
Wings, son.
I know where people in the comment section when Brandon and I brought that up was like, stop it. He's a wing. Of course he is. Yeah. But there's that question of like, can I use you to play the 4 at all? Or what if you get matched up on the block just by happen chance? No. How are you going to survive out there?
That's totally fair to ask. I don't think you're in the wrong to ask that question. I just see him being a guy, yes, he could play both. I think his agility right now and his speed lets him be able to play the 3 very well. I think over time, if he starts to build up and bulk up a little bit more, he could easily transition to be a 3-4. He could be fine covering forwards in the NBA. Not a problem. Kevin Knox is a guy, though, who would be a pure 3, and he has the potential to be a really great shooter, decent ball handler. Like, he has a little bit of everything for you. I'm so much higher on Mikal, though, than the other 2.
Oh, like, I am too.
For me, it's a noticeable gap. I think Miles, different guy, different build, and not exactly what the Bulls need right now. So that's why I'm going heavy. If Mikal's there, you take Mikal, you strike when the iron's hot, you look down in the 20s where our second pick would be, and look, if we could get lucky and get like a Mitchell Robinson, who is a wild card, if he is there and available, I'm like, why not push that button? Why not? You got a stretch big already in Lowry, and I think that would be an interesting ad. You could always go for another big down there, or you could go wing. Like, that's the best thing. You have 2 picks in the first. You can let that second round, or you can let that late one settle and see what's available at that point. If it's me, and if we're just going purely off of what Tankathon has taken ahead of us, if we want to go with
it sucks that Mitchell Robinson. It sucks that he's been taking 2 picks before us, but it also sucks that the Pelicans are playing. Well, AD is playing so well, and that pick is just dropping. Yeah. Well, it's dropping and going higher and higher.
Yes.
Higher numbers, not higher up.
We could get a good big there. We could end up with where we're in a position where it's like, I guess we're taking another wing or a backup point guard. Like, that's the thing. It's not the end of the world if we go that route because, again, Chris Dunn, good, but behind Chris Dunn is question mark. So I think I would be fine if at the end of that first round, we ended up with a small forward and a backup point guard, or if we got a small forward and we got lucky and we ended up with someone like, a Gafford or a Mitchell Robinson or, another big who would be a pretty good fit for us.
Let me throw this out there. You ready?
Yep.
So with how the order's mapped out right now, you got the Grizzlies. They're like, screw it. We're going to go Luka Doncic.
They are infinitely tanking.
Then you've got the Phoenix Suns. Thank you for going Luka. We're going to take DeAndre Ayton.
Yep.
Then you got the Magic. Hey, we listened to the fast break. We listened to MVP.
Yep.
Like, they know our plan. We're just going to go with Trae Young. Then you're sitting there at 4. Let's say, you know what? Screw it. 4 out the window. Triple J goes in this situation.
Yeah.
At 5. What if the Kings picked up the phone,
called the Bulls,
and said, we will give you the 5th pick for Michael Porter, but you got to give us the 8th and the 25th. Would you?
Done.
Would you pull that trigger?
Wouldn't hesitate. Wouldn't
I
hesitate.
don't know
one
why
moment.
I asked. You already said done.
Like, wouldn't hesitate for one moment. And this is actually something the Kings have done in recent history.
Yeah.
They've traded back their first pick to get more
Or taking
value.
Papa John's.
Well, that was just poor life choices. But they've traded back, and that's something that they're not afraid to do. Like, they're a young team.
He's a member of the Trailblazers now, right? Papa John's?
Yes, he
Didn't
did sign
a
with
10
them.
year,
A 10-day.
not 10 year,
Yeah.
a 10-day deal.
10-day. Basically, he's got to work out a little bit, get into playing shape, but we'll see what they can do with him. But, yeah, I think that would not be unheard of. I think the Kings would be... I wouldn't agree with that move from a Kings point of view.
From the Kings' point of view?
Yeah, I think they need Michael Porter more
than we do?
They need more picks in the first round. But if it's tossing a sweetener or something like that, if I'm the Bulls, I am drooling at the opportunity to go 4 or 5. Anywhere in that range, like, give me.
To me, and this might spoil our last topic, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Yeah, that's fine.
There is no greater marriage in this draft to me than Michael Porter Jr. to the Bulls.
Really?
Like,
you're saying he's the ultimate target?
I love Mikal. Mikal is a second for me. Like, because the reason why I bring up Mikal is it's kind of like, what do I want to do with this analogy? It's kind of like when you're pining over the girl in junior high and you're like really in love with her and
Yeah,
you're
same.
like you're like glazed over and you're like, I just am in love with her. It comes to that point though where every little boy realizes she's just not that into you, bro.
Oh.
I am at that point to where it's like, you know what? I am in love with Michael Porter Jr., but I don't think there's a realm of possibility for us to get it. Although I threw out that trade, I don't think it's going to happen. So that's why I've been like, Mikal. Mikal's our guy. I'm not going to try to overhype with the Michael Porter Jr. thing.
Yeah.
But I think there is no better fit for team or player than Michael Porter Jr. on the Bulls.
So, and I don't want to get too far into it because we are talking to him later.
Yes.
But do you think the Bulls... What's too much for an asking price to get up to that number 5 as it were? Do you think we go we give up our 8th overall, our later first, and a next year or a player attach?
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And I know this was Danny Ainge, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yep.
I believe it was for the 3 when Chris Dunn was being drafted. I believe they wanted Jimmy and 2 firsts. I believe that was the asking price.
Probably.
And I know that was 2 years ago. I know that was Danny Ainge and trying to stockpile those first-round picks because you can never have enough picks if you're Danny Ainge. But if I'm a Bulls fan, if I'm the Bulls, like you even said, done. If it's the 8th and the 25th, take the picks. I'll take my one guy because I don't need 2 guys. I would love to have 2 guys, but I don't need 2 guys.
What if they want like
free agent.
Lowry 8 and 25 or Bobby 8 and 25?
Markkanen's an untouchable. Like if they bring up Markkanen, you're out of here. Bobby, like that one I might entertain a little bit only because they play the same position and I don't know if I'm going to slide Bobby over to the 5.
Right.
I don't know
he's
if
their small ball 5. He's their 6th man off the bench. He's an energy dude.
And that's exactly it. Like there's so much into that. The reason why I would think about it is Markkanen's my one. Like Markkanen is the guy at the power forward position.
Is he your 4 or is he your 5?
Markkanen? Now he's the 4, but if Rolo's not part of the plan, but then if I trade Bobby, I have to kind of keep Rolo unless I do something in free agency.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah,
I would think about it, but I don't know if I would pull it if they said Bobby.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. If we went like small forward and like on backup point guard, I could see us in free agency trying to get like a Nerlens Noel or something maybe. Like there's some questionable guys who have a low value
do
out
you
there
really like?
to take
do
a
you
shot
really
at
want the Bulls to get Nerlens Noel though?
No, but I'm just saying I wouldn't toss out the idea unless I thought there was some merit to it. And here's the thing: Nerlens is a limited player. But I think this year kind of slapped his ego down. I think going out in free agency and not getting an offer of what you expected and then having to suffer through a year of basically sit on the bench, you're not good enough to play for us. I don't want you even near our team kind of a thing. Like I think that has brought him back down to earth. And I think that for what he can do as a defensive 5 and a player who can kind of clean up around the hoop but can't stretch the floor well, I'm not saying that would be the worst fit in the world. And if we could get him for a bargain, it could be interesting.
So let's say we make the trade. This is what this situation's coming down to. let's say we make the trade.
Right.
What I would then try to do, I don't even want to say I would for sure do this, but so we make the trade.
It's on the table.
Bobby and the 2 firsts for that 5th pick. So that means if I'm looking at our roster right now, I'm looking at our lineup.
Yep.
Rolo's at the 5, Markkanen's at the 4, MPJ is now at the 3 with Levine at the 2, Chris Dunn at the 1. 2 guys that you could go after that are not named Nerlens Noel.
Yeah.
One who's a 5 plays for the Nets, was supposed to be under contract next year, but he's not going to. He'll be a free agent because it's a dead after because of the trade. Jahlil Okafor. What if you bring him home?
Bring him home?
Bring
No.
him home to be a backup. I'm not saying he's the next, like, he's the guy behind Rolo.
No.
But kind of do replace that Bobby situation, or do you go after a guy like, what if, because I'm looking free agents here on Spot Rack, if Julius Randle hits free agency, if a Jabari Parker hits free agency, if a Derek Favors hits free agency, those are the power forwards we're basically looking at, because I don't want Amir Johnson.
No
I don't
one
want
does.
Channing Frye. I don't want Ed Davis. I don't want Anthony Tolliver. Like, get that shit out of here.
Right.
Unless you're like, hey, let's see what we got in Noah Vonleh, because we could re-sign him for dirt cheap.
Probably. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think I think what we've seen out of Ja is that even when he's like partially motivated and he's still working to get into game shape still.
True.
Still.
I mean, it's hard to get motivated when you're on the Nets, though.
No, he couldn't get motivated on Sixers. Like he has motivation issues. He has health issues.
But he'd be coming home, Dave. That's not enough motivation.
He's coming home. You gotta play some Kanye for him. No, I think that honestly, I wouldn't bring him in because of the lack of defense. Like he is just he could be an offensive player. He's a black hole down low though. It's just not worth the risk and the locker room chance to do that. So no, I would steer clear of that. I think there's got to be other options for us, but yeah, I would be okay tossing in, our picks this year and a potential like a
player.
No, well, a player, yes, but like the problem is, you have to keep our big 3 off the table, and they don't really need more bigs on that team. But
what if they wanted a? Well, I know your answer for this. What if they wanted a Denzel Valentine?
Yeah,
Denzel and 2 picks.
Denzel and I mean, they probably want our 2 ones this year and maybe a 1 next year if we have to give him Denzel.
Maybe, yeah.
Because he's okay. Like I don't think he'll ever pan out to be a starting, small forward for a
Seems
team,
like a Kings thing to want, though. A player that was really good in college, kind of played well in the tournament.
Dang, you going hard at the Kings there. No, I mean, I would probably do it. I think that this year it's worth it, and I don't think we're going to be bad enough next year to get a top 3 pick and be in the running for an RJ Barrett, a ball, like the guys who have the crazy hype mixtapes right now. A Zion. Like I don't think we're going to be in the running for that because I think this team will be good enough.
Hopefully we're good enough.
Good enough to not be there. Like worst case will be, like 9 through 14 again. And I think it's worth it to go for Michael Porter, even with the concerns about, his size and his health and him coming back. I would go for it. I push that button.
Anything you think we need to mention before we move on into LBJ?
I think that the later pick, I would be targeting, again, I would go backup point guard, perhaps small forward, or
would you go with a Grayson Allen, who you were in love with? I think it was last night when he was playing his tournament game.
Dude was fire.
You texted our fast break group and said Allen is a first, or Grayson is a first.
Grayson is a first round pick. He is fire from 3, man. I would love it. I have no problem with Grayson Allen. I think he is a fantastic college player, and I think that the things that make him a great college player will translate into the NBA. I have no problem with taking him at 25 or at 26, if that, wherever these Pelicans end their crazy run this year. I think I would be okay with that, unless we got down to like 20, and then we could take like an Anthony Simmons, Mitchell Robinson. Like there are some attractive names there.
That's the thing.
If we're 25 plus,
they're tied with the Cavs right now, games back, and they're like a game and a half.
Yeah,
ahead
so
of
like
the Wizards.
That one's gonna be. We'll see how far we fall. But if we end up in like 26 and there's nobody better looking, I would take Grayson Allen over like a Gary Trent Jr. 100%. Like I understand Gary Trent's young and Grayson's not, but like Grayson brings a lot to the table. And as much hate as people want to give him,
he's got that heart though.
He's got heart, and that kid's passionate, and he is now matured. Like,
you just got to have the right coach for him.
I absolutely believe that. Yeah.
Well, AD, if you're listening or watching, could you stop ruining the Bulls pick right now? Because we really need that pick to be a little bit higher than you're putting it. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.